Late September 2023, 11 p.m. Mike was driving home from a double shift at the Binghamton Auto Shop. He's a mechanic, the kind of guy who's got grime under his fingernails and a laugh that fills up space. Good guy, not the kind to make stuff up or get spooked too easily. Route 17 cuts through these endless stretches of woods with nothing but occasionally a gas station or a deer crossing sign to break the monotony. The radio was on, one of those old-school rock stations, but it kept cutting over to static, so Mike shut it off. Just him, the throaty rumble of his ancient Ford truck, and the darkness. He was most likely 20 minutes from home when he saw them. Two kids on the shoulder of the road where the asphalt and the gravel meet. They were small, 10 or 12 years old, in hoodies that were too big for them, like they'd taken them from an older brother or sister. Mike thought initially they were lost or maybe runaways. It was odd. Nobody's out here this late, much less kids. His headlights caught up to them when he slowed down, and he felt this thing in his chest as if he couldn't just drive by. What if they were in some sort of trouble? He braked, tires crunching on gravel, and rolled down his window. Cold air stung him with that sharp autumn bite. "Hey, you kids okay?" he asked, leaning out a little bit. They did not answer right away, just stood there, head down, hands in pockets. Mike felt a knot in his stomach. Something was not right, but he could not quite place his finger on it. He asked once more, "Need some assistance? Too late to be out?" The kids crept up, slow, like floating instead of walking. Mike's heart raced, though he didn't know why. When they were a few feet from the truck, they stopped. The boy on the left, with white skin and a hoodie that engulfed him, lifted his head. Mike tensed. The boy's eyes, they were off, not just dark, but black. Black solid as though ink had been poured into his sockets. No whites, no color surrounding his irises, only a vacant stare back. The woman on his other side also lifted his head, and the same applied to his eyes. Black as darkness, unflicking. Mike's mouth felt parched. He attempted to speak, but his throat was sore as if it was closing up. The boy began to speak in a level tone, as if mechanical, but with this strange undertone, as if coming from deeper than his chest. "Give us a lift. We have to get home." Each corner of Mike longed to floor it, but he didn't. He's a good guy, you see. The kind who'd pull over and help a stranger with a flat tire during a drizzle. He decided perhaps his eyes were playing tricks on him. It was nighttime after all, so his headlights were probably casting ridiculous shadows. Home," he managed somehow, white-knuckling the wheel. A flash of white shot by in front of him. The girl spoke this time, her voice leveled to the boys, flat, hollow, like she was reading from a script. "Not very far, just up the road. Can we come in?" She took another step forward, and Mike's stomach plummeted. He didn't know why, but letting them into his truck felt wrong. Like opening the door would let something in he couldn't get out of. "I can get you someone," Mike said, rummaging around in the center console for his phone. "Your parents, maybe. Or the police." He was trying to be factual, but his voice shook. The boy tilted his head as if studying Mike. "We don't need the police. We just need a ride. Let us in." There was something in his tone, not a question, but a demand. Mike's hand hesitated on his phone. The air felt heavier now, as though it was pressing down on him. The kids hadn't inched closer, but it felt as though they were beyond his window, their bodies filling up the cab of the truck. "Look here, I can't," Mike stammered. "I gotta get home. I'll call somebody to pick you up, okay?" He began to roll up the window, but the girl quickly extended a hand, catching the rim of the glass. Her grasp was firm, too firm for a child. Mike's heart pounded so hard that he could almost hear it exploding. He floored the gas, not thinking, and the truck jerked ahead. The girl's hand flew out of his, and he caught a glimpse of her in the side mirror as he peeled out. She simply stood there, agog after him, those black eyes flashing in the red glow of his taillights. Mike didn't ease up on driving until he got home. He locked the doors, checked the windows, and sat on his couch with a baseball bat across his knees, too revved to sleep. He kept replaying it in his head. Their eyes, their voices, they just didn't look human. He never said a word to anyone, not even his girlfriend, Sarah. Eventually, when he told me, we were grabbing beers at a dive bar in town, and his hands were shaking as he talked. I had never seen him like that. Now you might be thinking it was over. Mike notices something weird, loses it, and that's it. But wait, a couple of weeks later, Sarah started noticing things too. She and Mike live in a tiny house on the outskirts of town, behind a grove of woods. It's nothing spectacular, but it's got this ginormous picture window in the living room that overlooks the backyard. Sarah's a night owl, lying awake past midnight, scrolling on her phone, or marathoning true crime shows. It was a typical night, 1 a.m., when she heard a knock at the back door. She assumed it was the wind or a branch scraping against the house. But then again, 3 firm taps, deliberate, as if someone stood in the direct spot. She got up, beating heart, and sprinted to the blinds. Nothing, and only the black outline of the trees moving back and forth. She double-checked the locks twice and came back to the couch, but she could have sworn someone was watching her. The second evening, the same thing happened. Same hour, same 3 knocks. This evening, she didn't look. She just picked up the phone and called Mike, who was working a late shift, and told him to stay put and lock the doors. The third night she saw them, she was in the kitchen getting herself a glass of water when she glanced out the window. 2 figures were at the border of the yard, right where the lawn meets the woods. Small, hooded, motionless. She didn't notice their faces, but she knew they were them. Those kids. She dropped her glass and it shattered on the floor, the sound deafening in the quiet house. They were gone when she turned around. Mike was told by Sarah, and he went crazy. He started asking questions around, talking to folks in town, trying to figure out if anyone else had seen these children. That's when he heard of the black-eyed children. Apparently, it's true. People all over the U.S. have reported seeing these creepy kids with black-out eyes, always at nighttime, always asking for help or a ride or to be let in. The reports go on for years, maybe decades, and they all read the same. The children materialize out of thin air, don't speak properly, and you're left wondering if you just bumped into something evil. Mike and Sarah started digging on the internet, reading every post on the forums and articles they could find their hands on. Some claimed to have reported the children as demons, others as aliens or an urban legend come to life, and others as ghosts. No one really knows. One thing did ring true, though. They all said you'd never let them in. Not your car, your house, your life. Once you do, they never leave. Mike was convinced he had dodged a bullet that night on Route 17, but Sarah wasn't so sure. She was adamant that she could feel they were still lingering out there. Things were quiet for a while. Nobody knocked, nobody appeared, only the usual routine of work and life. Mike started questioning whether it was all in his head, just a weird night and a case of jitters. Sarah wasn't so certain, but she didn't want to talk about it anymore. They tried to move on from it, but the mood in their house changed, was dampened, as if something loomed over them. Later, a month later, Mike awoke in the middle of the night. He had no idea why. He just woke up, his heart pounding, like his body had read something his brain hadn't. The room was dark, the sort of darkness where you can't even see your hands stretched in front of you. He rolled over to reach out for Sarah, but her side of the bed was cold. It was vacant. "Sarah?" he whispered, sitting up. No response. The house was as quiet as a tomb, save for this tapping sound, like fingernails on glass. It was in the living room. Mike grabbed his phone, pointing the flashlight ahead. His hands trembled so violently that he almost dropped it. When he got to the living room, he saw her. Sarah stood before the picture window, staring out into the yard. She didn't move, didn't blink, standing stock still like a statue. The tapping was more insistent now, rhythmic from the glass. Mike's flashlight beam swept across the window, and he could see them. Two small forms right on the opposite side, their black eyes boring into Sarah, their palms pressed against the glass, their fingers tapping each other in sync, as if they were trying to call her to herself. "Sarah!" Mike shouted, grabbing at her arm. She did not budge. Her eyes were open, frozen, as if she were in a daze. He pulled harder, dragging her away from the window, and that's when she broke out of it. She gasped, as if she had been underwater, and leaned into him, crying. "They were calling my name," she whispered. "They kept calling me." Mike did not wait for morning. He packed some clothes into a sack, took Sarah, and they went to a motel in town. They did not go back to the house for a week, and when they did, it was by daylight. All seemed well. No tracks, no scuffs on the glass, nothing. But they both could feel it, that same heavy presence, like the air itself watched them. They put the house up for sale the next month. Didn't care what they got for it, just wanted out. The realtor said it sold to some kind of out-of-town visitor, no questions asked. Mike and Sarah moved to an apartment in Binghamton, just outside the city, where the lights never go out and the streets never empty. They never refer to that evening, not directly, but Mike tells of Sarah still waking periodically, staring out the window as if waiting for something. I have taken Route 17 numerous times since Mike told me this story, and I still can't help catching a glimpse of the shoulder, half hoping to see them standing there. But whenever I drive that section of road, I feel it, a shiver, as if there were someone watching. It may just be my own imagination, but I keep doors locked and my foot closed on the gas. Story number 2, it happened in the Smoky Mountains. Me, my girlfriend Leah, and her younger brother Danny were hiking out to a waterfall trail near Clingman's Dome. You've probably seen photos of it. Fog rolling over the trees like a sea of ghosts. It's beautiful, but it's also cursed. At least that's what the park ranger said the night Danny went missing. We weren't going to hike so far, just a weekend trip. Get some shots with the drone, roast some marshmallows, unplug. Leah had found this trail online that was supposedly less touristy. She loved the off-the-grid thing. So we hiked. It all started just fine. The woods were quiet, peaceful. Too quiet, as a matter of fact. We didn't even see any squirrels, birds, not even bugs. Only that fog that rolls in and wraps around the tree trunks like they're alive. About 2 miles down, the trail started going off in weird directions. None of them were marked, and the map that we had printed out no longer matched. Danny was 13 and much too brave for his own good, and he strayed a bit ahead of us. We told him to stay closer, but you can always count on the children, always running after something. He abruptly quit walking and pointed. "There's someone over there," he said. We looked. Nothing. Just an opening in the trees. Thick fog. "There was someone," he went on. "They were quite tall. They waved at me." Leah waved it off, said he was trying to scare us. But I did see something too. Only for a split second. A figure, too tall, standing completely still between two trees. When I opened my eyes a second time, it was gone. We should have gone back, but we didn't. We came to this clearing where the ground was, off, spongy like walking on a sponge, and in the middle stood a large ancient tree, huge, twisted branches, hollow trunk. It looked off like something that shouldn't still be standing there. Danny went running on ahead, shouting, "I think someone is in here." He looked into the hollow trunk, then stopped, stone silent. "Danny!" Leah called out. He didn't respond. I sprinted up to him, set a hand on his shoulder, and he finally turned to us, wide-eyed, colorless. "There's a staircase in there." "In the tree." That didn't make any sense. I poked my head, and he was correct. Inside that gigantic hollow trunk were stairs, rock steps, curving down into utter blackness, too deep to be held in the root of the tree, like it went down to something beneath the forest. We were spooked, of course. I said we should leave, but Danny had already stepped onto the stairs. Leah grabbed him, told him to stop playing around. He pulled away. "I hear something," he said. I asked him what. He said, "It's Mom. She's calling me." That's when Leah went crazy. Our mom died 4 years ago. He took one step down, then another, and then another. We screamed at him to stop. Then, on the 4th step, he disappeared, mid-step, like they cut the end of a video. 1 second he was there, and the next, poof. No sound, no falling, no scream, nothing. Only empty stairs. Leah fell to her knees, crying. I chased after him, but the stairs didn't go any farther. They just ended. After 7 steps, solid wood, no doorway, no opening. We called the ranger station. The whole search party arrived. Dogs, drones, thermal detectors, nothing. Then one of the old-timers pulled me aside, away from Leah. He looked tired, like he'd witnessed too much. "I don't say this to everybody," he said to me, "but you should know, this isn't the first time." I asked him what he was talking about. He told me, "Folks get lost out here all the time, more than we'll ever report. Most of them are kids. Some just disappear. Others just walk away like they're in a daze. Most of them are never seen again." I asked him what he believed was going on. He told me something I'll never forget. There's locations in these woods where the rules are flexible. The ancient tribes warned us about them, places that draw people to them, particularly the ones that have lost something. I didn't think he was telling the truth until 3 days later in our cabin. I heard a knock at the back door. 3 slow knocks, nobody there, just footprints, little ones, bare feet, disappearing into the woods, Danny's size. Leah's been back 4 times since looking, hikes the same trails, stays in the clearing. Last week, she told us that she heard someone say her name from the tree. She wants to go down the stairs. She thinks he's alive. But I saw him fade, man. I saw his foot disappear between here and there. And I'm telling you now, don't go looking for those stairs. If you do find them, don't descend. They say the woods give back what they take, but they don't give it back whole. If this story gives you chills, click that like button. If you've ever heard of a place like this, where the rules get flexed, leave a comment below and subscribe for more real American horror stories.